Hi, I'm Mark Clever and welcome once again to the Lastolite School of Photography. And today we're here to talk about exposure and colour balancing. And they're going to be using the Lastolite product, which is the Easy Balance, which is basically the grey on one side, white on another. We're going to be using the Expo Balance, which is a gradient of white, grey and black. And we also have our 18% grey here, and we have the kind of bracketing sizes to the side. And then we also have our Tri-Balance, which is the one on a tri-grip, because on the other side we've got a silver reflector. So it's these products that we're going to be looking at today and how we bring them into an everyday workflow. The first thing we've got to look at when we come into a room set like this is the mixture of the lighting. Now in the room we've got some tungsten light playing its part, but we've also got a daylight playing its part as well. And that's where it gets difficult on the mixing of the white balancing. Now because the majority of the scene is white, an auto white balance on camera is not going to get too bad a result at all. However, if we set that on tungsten balance for the light in the room, it's going to come out blue. And if we set it on a daylight balance or a fixed colour balance, which we would prefer to, of course, we're going to get some kind of warmth or yellowing. So that's the point. The first thing we've got to be aware of is the colour in the ambience, because unless we accept that, we don't really understand why we're trying to control the colour of the light to begin with. But just before we get on to fixing the colour and how will we do it, we're going to talk about exposure, because remember that at 18% grey, this is also an exposure measurement device and not just used for colour. And if I shoot that same custom white balance for a minute with you here, that's gorgeous. We're going to see a different shifting colour because now we're being dominated by our tungsten light within the scene. So as soon as I move to a different colour balance, if you hold that for me please, darling, I just need to do that quick shot again, fill in my frame, thank you, just going once more into the custom white balance and I'm ready to shoot. It's gorgeous there, looking out to the side, eyes at me, happier. Beautiful. And exposure and colour balance, that's it as a basic. Understand the colour that you're trying to light the subject with. Take your exposure first to make sure that's there. Then you custom balance using the back of the camera. Otherwise, if you're photographing RAW, of course, we can do all that work on post-production. So let's look at the same thing with a bit of flash. One of the most common problems that I see with photographers when they're photographing with flash is they leave the camera on auto white balance. Now the first thing that you can do is to switch it on to either the flash balance on camera or a fixed level where at least you're going to get some kind of a better colour result. Obviously the main thing is custom white balancing on camera. Now where we refer to custom white balancing, I think you've already gathered that it's nothing to do with white, it's all to do with grey. Just go into that lean for me, leaning back, twist the body around towards me a touch, and straight the eyes at me, darling. Lower the chin, darling. More. It's gorgeous there. So if I just show you the same shot in auto white balance for a minute, you'll never shoot on auto white balance again, I promise you, especially when you're photographing with flash. And you can see there how instantly it's gone to like a bluey colour, the reverse of the oranges, bluey cyan, and you can see it running down the white. And it's the secret is always in the detail, of course, and you'll always see those kind of shades where the colour is wrong, either on the skin tone itself or onto the clothing information. So be very aware when you're photographing to get that balance right. I'm just going to shoot the Expo balance, and from here I can set and calibrate my camera within the likes of the post-production to set what is my white point, my black point, and the grey point as well, of course, which will give me a better workflow. As soon as the likes of Camera Raw sees the image, it'll apply those Camera Raw basics each time to guarantee the correct results. Essential if you're mainly a studio photographer. Cool. Eyes at me again. Twist the body around to me. Excellent. Happier. Excellent. Fake it more. You're a good girl. That's there. Relax. So you've seen how we use the Easy Balance in the mixed light conditions, and you saw how we use the Expo Balance in studio with flash. Let's get out on location and see how we use those same products in the natural light and the natural environment. Leaning into those there again. Cool. And out again. So we're out on location and we're going to be using a combination of two of the Lastolite products today, the Expo Balance, and we're going to be using the Tri-Balance as well. And the Tri-Balance is going to be on the other side. We just show the reflector. Carl's going to be kicking that in. He's going to be using the sunlight that's coming from above here to obviously push in towards Deanne, the model. but I'm going to be using this to take my exposure from, as well as my custom balance if I wanted to do that. However, I'm shooting RAW and JPEG files, and the reason I shoot a color balanced JPEG is because I don't have to fix anything really when it comes out, because it's kind of my backup. Whereas my RAW file, I'm going to be using the information from here to give me the correct color balance on the RAW file with my click balance no matter what. So let's get on with that. And as we flick through those photographs, you'll be able to see a slight different shift through each of those images, and that's the key point about white balancing techniques. Save the time in post-production if possible by doing it on camera. You do it first, and then you really can just work on the likes of Photoshop to enhance the image instead of trying to correct it from the beginning. So in this location we're going to work in a slightly different way. We're going to be using the tri-balance to take a white balance from a distance, but we're going to do all the work in post-production. So we're not custom balancing on camera. At this point though, I really prefer to work with a fixed balance, whether it's flash or daylight or sunny mode, no matter what, because it will give a consistency of colour. It's not essential, but it's just a key skill in workflow. So Carl, if you just put that tri-balance in for me a minute, mate. I'm just going to use it as a part of the photograph, and once that's done, thank you. Okay guys, so looking towards each other please, cuddle in towards each other more, bring him into you. It's gorgeous. Chuckle away towards each other, happier, and again, heads together. That's gorgeous. Now. It's gorgeous, great, brilliant, again. Relax, thank you. In this Photoshop section, we're going to just start off with the basics of color balance. Now, these two images were taken in exactly the same place, with the exception that the image on the left-hand side has had a click balance done in RAW, and the image on the right-hand side was the image that we used to color balance from in camera. And just to prove how easy it is for the one-click balance within RAW, what I'm going to do is select all those images here just by clicking in the RAW, the Select All button, picking up my white balance tool, which is a bit weird because of course we want grey, and then all I need to do is on the easy balance just clicking onto here, then instantly I've neutralized all that color with all those photographs in that one location with a one-click color balance. And remember, once more, Alt-GR and the L will apply that same balance that I've just applied here to that next photograph. And if we just see the before and after of that photograph, you can see how it's a little bit washy here, even though we're in very extreme sunlight, compared to the definition when we're kind of bringing all those whites, blacks and greys into the full tonality of the image itself. So after that Photoshop, you can see why we really want to take control of our colour in camera to begin with, before we then have to rely on the post-production techniques to kind of quick fix. But depends on your workflow and the way you want to work. There's many ways to do the same thing. I always shoot RAW, of course, so I've always got that post-production ability to correct any colour with the likes of the grey balancing tools from Lastolite. So remember, you've got the tri-balance, which is the product with the white, grey and black, with the reflector on the back, of course. Then you have the Expo balance, which is the same thing as far as the white, the grey and the black, but in a smaller form. But it's also got the exposure varieties here, which is great as far as your camera balancing for exposure techniques, of course, as well as colour. So you've got the standard product, which is the easy balance, of course, the 12% in the triangular shape, the 18% in the square shape. This also comes in a waterproof one, which is ideal for diving or for photographers who work in a very wet environment, because it has a waterproof steel kind of thing with it. So that's it. Loads on white balancing and colour balancing and exposure. I'm Mark Claiborne for the Lastolite School of Photography. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.